The rain hammered the church roof like 1,000 unspoken regrets as Athena lowered the casket into the earth, her fingers numb from clutching the wet bouquet of lilies that now wilted in her lap. She was 28, alone in a sea of black umbrellas that belonged to cousins she barely knew, their whispers slicing through the downpour like accusations she couldn't quite hear. But then her phone buzzed in her coat pocket, a number she didn't recognize, and the voice on the other end, low and urgent, shattered the fragile silence of her grief. "Athena, your grandmother didn't just die. She left you everything. And they've been lying to you since the day you were born." Athena's heart slammed against her ribs as she stumbled away from the graveside, the mud sucking at her boots like it wanted to pull her under. The voice belonged to a woman named Alara Voss, who claimed to be a private investigator hired by Grandma Eleanor in her final days. "Meet me tonight," Alara had said, her tone laced with a quiet intensity that made Athena's skin prickle. "The Hawthorne Manor, midnight. Come alone." Hawthorne Manor, the crumbling estate on the outskirts of Willow Creek, Massachusetts, where Athena's childhood summers had been filled with ghost stories and the scent of lavender from her grandmother's garden. It was the one place that still felt like home, even as the rest of her life unraveled like a frayed hem. By the time Athena arrived, the storm had eased into a restless drizzle, the manor's iron gates creaking open as if they'd been waiting for her. She parked her beat-up Subaru under the overgrown oaks, their branches clawing at the sky like desperate fingers. The house loomed ahead, its Victorian spires piercing the twilight, windows glowing faintly like eyes watching her approach. Athena's pulse thrummed in her ears as she climbed the porch steps, the wood groaning under her weight. She shouldn't be here, should be back in Boston, drowning her sorrow in takeout and bad TV, but the hook of that call had sunk deep, reeling her in with promises of truths her family had buried deeper than Eleanor's coffin. The door swung open before she could knock, and there she was, Alara Voss, silhouetted against the warm flicker of candlelight from within. She was taller than Athena had imagined from that voice alone, early 30s maybe, with sharp cheekbones and hair cropped close to her scalp in a way that screamed unapologetic confidence. Her eyes, dark and stormy as the Atlantic, locked onto Athena's with an intensity that stole her breath. Dressed in a leather jacket over a simple white blouse, Alara looked like she belonged in one of those noir films Athena binge-watched on rainy nights, equal parts danger and allure. "You came," Alara said, her voice smoother in person, laced with a faint southern drawl that softened the edges. She stepped aside, gesturing into the shadowed foyer. "Good. We don't have much time." Athena crossed the threshold, the air thick with the musty scent of old books and forgotten secrets. Dust motes danced in the slivers of moonlight filtering through cracked panes, and the grandfather clock in the corner ticked like a heartbeat too loud for the silence. "Who the hell are you?" Athena demanded, her voice cracking despite her resolve. She wrapped her arms around herself, the chills seeping through her damp coat. "And what do you mean? They've been lying?" "My family. They're all I have left." Alara closed the door with a soft click, the sound echoing like a lock turning. She led Athena into the parlor, where a fire crackled in the hearth, casting flickering shadows on walls lined with portraits of stern-faced Hawthorns from generations past. Eleanor stared down from the largest one, her silver hair piled high, eyes twinkling with the mischief Athena remembered from lazy porch swings and stolen sips of sherry. Alara poured 2 glasses of amber liquid from a decanter, whiskey, neat, and handed one to Athena. "Sit," she said, not a command but an invitation wrapped in steel. As Athena sank into the velvet armchair, Alara perched on the edge of the settee opposite, her knee brushing Athena's accidentally, or was it, sending a spark up her spine that had nothing to do with the cold. "I'm Alara Voss, as I said on the phone. Your grandmother hired me 6 months ago, when the cancer started winning." Alara's gaze softened, just a fraction, as she leaned forward. She was dying, Athena, but she wasn't ready to let go without setting things right. The Hawthorne fortune, the estate, the trusts, the shares in that old textile mill that's worth millions now, it's all yours. Not your uncle's, not your cousin's. Yours. Because you're not just Eleanor's granddaughter. You're the hidden heir, the one they tried to erase. Athena's laugh came out bitter, hollow. Erase? What is this, some soap opera plot? My parents died in that car crash when I was 5. Grandma raised me. If there's some big family secret, why hide it? She took a swig of the whiskey, the burn grounding her as memories flooded back. The way Eleanor's hugs always lingered a beat too long, the locked attic room Athena was never allowed to enter, the whispers that stopped when she walked into a room. Alara pulled a manila envelope from her jacket, sliding it across the scarred oak table. Because your mother wasn't who they told you she was. Open it. Athena's hands trembled as she untied the string, photos spilling out like ghosts. There was her mother, young and radiant, arm in arm with another woman, tall, with the same sharp features as the portraits on the wall. That's Vivian Hawthorne, Alara murmured. Your grandmother's daughter. And that's Lila, your other mother. They loved each other in a time when that kind of love could get you disowned, or worse. The family buried it all, faked documents, shipped Lila off to some sanitarium in the Midwest. When Vivian died in that crash, they pinned it on a fictional husband, erased Lila from existence. Eleanor found out too late, but she never stopped searching for you. The room spun. Athena stared at the faded snapshot. 2 women in sundresses, laughing on a beach, the ocean crashing behind them like applause for a forbidden joy. Her throat tightened, tears blurring the edges. This can't be. I'm gay? I mean, I've dated women, sure, but that's not. Alara's hand reached across, covering Athena's, warm and steady. It is. And it's why they kept you at arm's length, shuttled you off to boarding schools, made sure you never dug too deep. But Eleanor? She saw you, really saw you. That's why she called me. To bring you home. The fire popped, embers glowing like embers of a life Athena had never known. Outside, the wind howled through the elms, rattling the windows as if the house itself mourned. Athena pulled her hand away, not because she wanted to, but because the touch ignited something raw, something she wasn't ready to name. What now? They'd buried her today. My uncle's already talking lawyers, saying the will's a mess. Alara's lips curved in a wry smile, but her eyes held a storm. Now, we fight. But first you need rest. There's a room upstairs, Eleanor's old one. I'll keep watch. She stood, offering a hand, and this time Athena took it, the connection lingering as Alara led her up the creaking stairs. The hallway stretched like a vein pulsing with history, doors whispering secrets as they passed. At the end, Alara pushed open a door to a bedroom frozen in time. 4-poster bed draped in faded lace, a vanity cluttered with perfume bottles and yellowed letters. Athena sank onto the mattress, the springs sighing under her weight. Why are you doing this? Really? Her voice was small, vulnerable in the dim light of the bedside lamp. Alara paused in the doorway, silhouetted like a guardian shadow. Because I've lost someone to lies like these. My sister. She was like you. Fierce, beautiful, unapologetic. The world tried to hide her, too. Eleanor paid me to find you. But staying? That's on me. Her voice cracked, just once, before she straightened. Sleep, Athena. Tomorrow, we unearth the truth. As the door clicked shut, Athena lay there, staring at the canopy above, the whiskey's warmth fading into a restless ache. The house settled around her, floorboards groaning like confessions in the night. Downstairs, she could hear Alara moving, papers rustling, a chair scraping back, and for the first time since the funeral, Athena didn't feel utterly alone. But as sleep tugged at her edges, a chill slithered in. If this was true, her family wouldn't let it go without a fight. And in the Hawthorne bloodline, fights had always ended in blood. Dawn crept through the lace curtains like a thief, painting the room in hues of rose and regret. Athena woke with a start, her neck stiff from dreams tangled in salt waves and stolen kisses, the echo of her mother's laughter fading as reality clawed back. She dressed quickly in one of Eleanor's old robes, silk that whispered against her skin like a lover's breath, and descended the stairs, the manor's silence broken only by the distant clatter of dishes. Alara was in the kitchen, sleeves rolled up, brewing coffee on an ancient percolator that hissed like it resented the intrusion. Sunlight slanted through the window, catching the curve of Alara's jaw as she turned, her smile tentative but real. "Morning. Black. 2 sugars?" Athena nodded, sliding onto a stool at the scarred pine island. "You know your way around here pretty well for a stranger." The word tasted wrong now, stranger. Last night, in the vulnerability of firelight and revelation, Alara had felt like an anchor. "I've been coming here for months," Alara admitted, sliding the mug across. Steam curled up, carrying the rich, grounding scent. Eleanor liked her privacy, but she trusted me enough to share her stories. "This place. It's got ghosts, but the good kind." She leaned against the counter, arms crossed, the morning light tracing the faint scar on her forearm, a thin white line that spoke of battles Athena could only guess at. "How'd you sleep?" "Like the dead," Athena quipped, but her eyes betrayed the lie. She sipped the coffee, the bitterness mirroring the knot in her chest. "I keep seeing those photos. Lila. Was she like me? Did she fight back?" Alara's expression softened, a flicker of her own ghosts crossing her face. "From what Eleanor told me, Lila was fire incarnate. Ran a women's shelter in Chicago during the AIDS crisis, back when being out could get you fired, beaten, or buried in paperwork that never ends. She loved fiercely, your mother, you, even Eleanor, despite the rifts. When they took you from her after the crash, saying it was for your own good, she didn't stop looking. Tracked you through foster homes until Eleanor smuggled you here." Athena's fingers tightened around the mug, knuckles whitening. "And Uncle Harlan? He was always the golden boy, lording over the mill like it was his birthright. If this gets out..." She trailed off, the implications coiling like smoke. Harlan Hawthorne, with his slick suits and sharper tongue, had spent years whispering poison about Eleanor's delusions to anyone who'd listen. The funeral had been his stage, eulogy dripping with false piety as he eyed the mourners like potential allies in his inheritance grab. Alara pulled out her phone, tapping the screen to life. "That's why we start smart. Eleanor's will is ironclad, holographic, witnessed by me and her old lawyer. But Harlan's got claws in the local courts. Small-town justice bends for men like him. We need proof beyond the photos. Letters, ledgers, anything tying Lila to the estate." She pocketed the device, her gaze steady. "The attic. Eleanor said it's up there, hidden in the rafters." They moved as a unit, the house waking around them with the scent of dust and damp wood. The attic stairs were narrow, spiraling up from the second-floor landing like a vein to the heart of the manor. Athena went first, flashlight beam cutting through cobwebs that clung like regrets. At the top, the space opened into a cavern of forgotten treasures, trunks bloated with moth-eaten gowns, shelves sagging under hatboxes and yellowed ledgers, a rocking horse with one eye missing staring blankly from the corner. The air hung heavy, laced with lavender and loss. "Over here," Alara called, her voice muffled as she knelt by a false panel in the wall. With a grunt, she pried it loose, revealing a steel box rusted at the edges but locked tight. Athena's breath caught. Eleanor's safe, the one she'd caught glimpses of as a child, always dismissed with a wink and a someday petal. Alara worked the combination. July 21st, 55, Lila's birthday, she'd later explain, and the lid sprang open with a sigh. Inside, bundles of letters tied with faded ribbon, a tarnished locket engraved with V and L forever, and a thick folder stamped, Hawthorne Trust, Confidential. Athena's hands shook as she lifted the top envelope, the paper crackling like dry leaves. Vivian's handwriting, elegant loops spelling out, "My dearest Lila," dated 1992. She read aloud, voice barely above a whisper. The doctors say it's nothing, but I feel it in my bones. The family's closing in. Harlan's sniffing around the mill accounts and father. God. He looks at you like you're a stain he can't scrub out. But you, my love, you're the light I never knew I deserved. If anything happens to me, promise you'll find our girl. Promise you'll tell her we burned brighter than their hate. Tears blurred the ink, hot tracks down Athena's cheeks. Alara knelt beside her, close enough that Athena could feel the warmth radiating from her body, a steady counterpoint to the chill of revelation. She did, Alara murmured, her breath stirring Athena's hair. Lila never stopped. These letters? They're her map back to you. But as Athena delved deeper, the warmth curdled into ice. Tucked in the folder was a newspaper clipping, brittle and browned. Tragic accident claims local heiress. Fiancé mourns loss. Fiancé, a lie, bold as brass, with a photo of Harlan, young and smug, arm around Vivian's ghost. And scrawled on the margin in Eleanor's spidery hand. He knew, and he profited. Athena slammed the folder shut, rage blooming hot in her chest. That bastard. He didn't just steal the inheritance, he stole my mother's from me. She surged to her feet, pacing the cramped space, the beam of light jittering across crates like her fracturing world. Alara rose too, catching her wrist gently, thumb brushing the pulse point in a way that sent sparks skittering up Athena's arm. Easy, Alara said, her voice low, anchoring. We expose him, but smart. Confronting Harlan now? He'd lawyer up, spin it as Eleanor's senility. We need allies, maybe the old mill workers, folks who remember Lila's shelter days. Athena met her eyes, the attic's dimness making Alara's gaze seem deeper, pulling her in like a riptide. For a moment, the air thickened, charged with unspoken currents, the brush of fingers lingering, the way Alara's lips parted on an indrawn breath. Athena stepped closer, drawn by the gravity of shared secrets, her free hand rising to trace the line of Alara's jaw. Why does this feel like more than a job? She whispered, heart hammering. Alara's swallow was audible, her hand covering Athena's, holding it there. Because it is. From the first file I read on you, your art shows in Boston, the way you volunteer at that youth center for queer kids, I knew. You're not just a client. You're fire, Athena. The kind that warms or burns, depending. The kiss happened then, inevitable as the tide, soft at first, tentative, Athena's lips brushing Alara's in a question. Alara answered with a sigh, pulling her closer, the kiss deepening into something fierce and forgiving, tongues tasting of coffee and desperation. Athena's back hit a trunk, the wood digging in, but she didn't care. Alara's hands framed her face, thumbs wiping away tears Athena hadn't realized were falling. It was messy, real, teeth clashing, breaths mingling, the attic's dust forgotten in the heat of rediscovery. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed together, Alara's fingers threading through Athena's hair. We can't, Alara murmured, even as her body arched closer. Not like this. Not with Harlan circling. Athena nodded, but the pull lingered, a promise humming in her veins. Then let's end him first. For them. For us. As they gathered the documents, stuffing them into a satchel, a floorboard creaked below, too deliberate for the house's settling. Alara froze, hand on her hip where Athena glimpsed the butt of a concealed pistol. We're not alone, she whispered, eyes narrowing to slits. The attic trapdoor rattled, and Harlan's voice slithered up, oily and triumphant. Athena, darling? I know you're up there. Let's talk family business. Harlan's laughter echoed up the stairs like gravel under tires, grinding against Athena's nerves. She exchanged a glance with Alara, who nodded once, sharp, silent, and drew the pistol from her waistband, the metal glinting dully in the flashlight's beam. Athena's stomach twisted. This wasn't the quiet unraveling of secrets she'd imagined, but a collision, raw and unavoidable. They crouched by the trapdoor, hearts sinking in the tense hush, as footsteps thudded closer, accompanied by the jangle of keys, Harlan's keys, the ones he'd flashed at the funeral like a scepter. "Open up, Athena," he called, his tone mocking paternal concern. "Eleanor's PI friend here, I presume? I've got the sheriff on speed dial. Trespassing on estate property, TSK, tisk." Alara mouthed stall, then slipped to the shadows, vanishing like smoke among the crates. Athena straightened, forcing steel into her voice as she hauled the trapdoor open just a crack. Harlan's face swam into view below, 50-something, florid cheeks flushed from the climb, his Brooks Brothers suit rumpled, but his eyes sharp as broken glass. "Uncle," she said, the word tasting like ash. "Come to gloat over the grave." He chuckled, wedging his foot in the gap to pry it wider. "Gloat? Nonsense. Just protecting the family legacy." Eleanor's mind wandered at the end. "Dementia," the doctor said. "That will she scratched out? Worthless." His gaze flicked past her. "Hunting. Hand over whatever nonsense boss fed you. Let's go home. Talk it out over brandy." Athena held the door firm, her arms straining, pulse roaring in her ears. Home. Willow Creek's sprawling Victorian on Elm Street, where holidays were minefields of passive-aggressive toasts and sidelong glances at Athena's unconventional single status. "Legacy," she spat. "You mean the one you stole? Vivian wasn't yours to claim, Harlan. Neither was I." His smile faltered, a crack in the facade. "Vivian? My sister was troubled, running with that woman. It broke Eleanor. I stepped up, raised you when she couldn't." The lie hung there, brittle, and Athena saw the flicker of fear in his eyes, the knowledge that she'd seen the letters, the truth etched in ink. Before she could retort, Alara struck, from behind, swift as a shadow, pistol but cracking against Harlan's temple with a sickening thud. He crumpled like a sack of flour, groaning as he hit the stairs, rolling halfway down in a tangle of limbs and curses. Alara descended like a panther, zip-tying his wrists with efficient snaps from her jacket pocket. "Driveway," she hissed over her shoulder. "Keys in the ignition. Go." Athena scrambled down, heart in her throat, snatching the satchel of documents as she went. Harlan's sedan idled at the curb, headlights cutting fog like accusatory beams. She slid behind the wheel, Alara bundling the semi-conscious Harlan into the trunk amid muffled protests. "You bitch. You'll pay for this." Before slamming it shut and jumping into the passenger seat. "Head for the mill," Alara directed, checking her watch. "Old foreman's there, Rita Callahan. She worked under Lila in the 90s, saw Harlan's games firsthand. If we get her on record." Athena floored it, tires spitting gravel as the manor shrank in the rear view. Willow Creek blurred past, quaint storefronts with awnings flapping in the breeze, the white-steepled church where Eleanor's service had drawn the whole town like moths to a flame. The Hawthorne Mill loomed on the river's edge, its brick facade weathered but proud, smokestacks silent sentinels against the midday sky. Athena's hands gripped the wheel white-knuckled, adrenaline surging with a side of terror. "You just assaulted my uncle. In front of me. What the hell, Alara?" Alara holstered the gun, her face a mask of calm fraying at the edges. He had a .38 in his coat, saw the bulge. "Harlan doesn't negotiate. He eliminates. Trust me, I've tangled with types like him before." She reached over, squeezing Athena's thigh, a touch meant to steady, but it ignited that attic spark anew, warmth pooling despite the chaos. "You're doing this for Eleanor. For Lila. Don't second-guess now." The mill's chain-link fence rattled as Athena pulled up, killing the engine. Rita Callahan waited by the loading dock, a sturdy woman in her 60s with salt and pepper hair pinned back and overalls stained from years of honest labor. She'd been Lila's right hand, turning the mill's community arm into a haven during the recession, soup kitchens, job training, a quiet underground for women escaping bad homes. Her eyes narrowed at the sedan, then widened at Harlan's muffled thumps from the trunk. "Christ on a cracker," Rita muttered, crossing her arms. "You Hawthorns never change. What's in the boot, Athena?" "Another skeleton." Alara popped the trunk, hauling Harlan out like yesterday's trash. He spat blood from the split lip, glaring daggers. "Rita, you old dyke, keep your mouth shut or what?" Rita snapped, her Boston accent thickening with ire. "Fire me again? Bury me like you did Lila's records." She turned to Athena, appraising. "Eleanor's girl, through and through. Come inside. We've got stories that'll curdle your milk." The foreman's office was a time capsule, desks piled with manifests, walls papered in faded union posters, a kettle whistling on a hot plate. Rita poured tea strong as tar, shoving a mug into Athena's hands before sinking into a creaky chair. Alara stood guard by the door, Harlan slumped in the corner under her watchful eye, a rag stuffed in his mouth to muffle the venom. "Started in '89, Rita began, voice gravelly from cigarettes and truths long suppressed. "Lila waltzed in here like she owned the place. Hell, she did through Vivian. Turned the night shift into a support line for the girls in town, the ones Harlan's buddies roughed up at bars. He hated it. Falsified audits, claimed embezzlement, got her committed when Vivian crashed. Said it was grief. We knew better." Her eyes glistened, fist clenching. "I kept copies, payroll stubs showing Lila's donations, witness statements from the shelter. Buried em in the basement vault when Harlan took over." Athena leaned forward, the tea forgotten. "Why stay quiet?" Rita's laugh was bitter. "Bill's kid. Grandkids. But Eleanor's calls last year? Woke something up. Here's the proof." She rummaged in a drawer, producing a USB drive and a ledger thick as a Bible. Harlan siphoned funds for decades, offshore accounts, shell companies. Enough to bury him if it goes public. Harlan thrashed, eyes bulging, but Alara's boot on his chest pinned him still. Athena plugged the drive into Rita's ancient laptop, files blooming like dark flowers, spreadsheets of diverted millions, emails from Harlan to shady attorneys about securing the narrative. One attachment, a grainy VHS transfer, showed Lila at a town hall, voice ringing clear. "This mill isn't just bricks and looms. It's a lifeline, and no one's taking it from the women who built it." Tears pricked Athena's eyes again, but this time they fueled fire. "Record it," she told Rita, who nodded and hit the camera on her phone. Harlan's trial had begun, impromptu and unyielding, his empire crumbling in pixelated evidence. As Rita wrapped up, detailing the web of corruption, a distant siren wailed, Harlan's cavalry, no doubt. Alara cursed under her breath. "Time's up. Athena, take the drive. Rita, get Harlan to the sheriff's anonymous tip, say you caught him trespassing." Rita hauled him up, surprisingly spry, while Athena and Alara bolted for the sedan. Tires screeched as they peeled out, the mill receding like a fortress reclaimed. Athena's chest heaved, exhilaration warring with dread. What now? He knows we're on to him. Alara's hand found hers across the console, fingers interlacing, a lifeline in the storm. Now we go public. But first, somewhere safe. Her voice dropped, husky. My place. Edge of town. No more running. The cabin was a weathered A-frame nestled in the pines overlooking the Connecticut River, miles from prying eyes. Smoke curled from the chimney as they arrived, dusk painting the sky in bruises of purple and gold. Inside, it smelled of pine resin and sage, Alara's sanctuary, bookshelves groaning with thrillers and queer theory tomes, a stone fireplace crackling welcome. Athena dropped the satchel by the door, the weight lifting as Alara locked it behind them. You're shaking, Alara noted, drawing her into an embrace. Athena buried her face in the crook of Alara's neck, inhaling leather and lavender, the day's adrenaline crashing into exhaustion. It's over? Athena mumbled, but she knew better. Not yet. Alara pulled back, cupping Athena's face, thumbs tracing cheekbones slick with unshed tears. But tonight? It's ours. The kiss was slower this time, deliberate, acclaiming. Alara's lips parted Athena's with gentle insistence, hands sliding under her shirt to map the curve of her spine. Athena gasped into it, fingers fumbling with Alera's belt, the world narrowing to heat and heartbeat. They tumbled onto the rug before the fire, clothes shedding like old skins. Alera's body was lean muscle and soft edges, scars telling stories Athena wanted to learn by touch. She kissed the one on Alera's ribs, tasting salt, as Alera arched beneath her, whispering, "Yes, like that. God, Athena." It was worship and war, bodies entwining in rhythms born of shared survival, Athena's thigh pressing between Alera's, eliciting moans that echoed off the rafters, Alera's mouth on Athena's breast, teeth grazing just enough to spark lightning. Climax came in waves, crashing together, leaving them spent and tangled, firelight gilding sweat-slick skin. Athena traced lazy patterns on Alera's stomach, the afterglow a fragile peace. "I don't know who I am anymore," she confessed, voice raw. "But with you, it feels possible." Alera kissed her temple, fierce. "You're Athena Hawthorne, hidden no more. And I'm here for the unveiling." But peace shattered with a crash at the door, wood splintering, shadows lunging in. Harlan's men, faces masked, guns drawn. "End of the line, Voss." The intruders burst through like wolves scenting blood, two burly figures in black tactical gear, faces obscured by ski masks, pistols leveled with professional menace. Athena's scream lodged in her throat as Alera rolled them aside, shoving Athena behind the couch with a barked, "Stay down." The first shot splintered the coffee table, wood shards flying like shrapnel, the acrid bite of gunpowder choking the air. Alera fired back from the hip, her Glock barking twice. Crack, crack, dropping one assailant with a groan, blood blooming dark on the intruder's thigh. "Run!" Alera yelled, scrambling for cover behind an overturned chair as the second man advanced, muzzle flashing. Athena's mind blinked, instincts kicking in. She lunged for the satchel by the door, clutching it to her chest like a shield, and bolted for the kitchen. Bullets whined past, one grazing her arm, a hot sting that bloomed red, but she didn't stop. The back door banged open to night air crisp with pine, her bare feet pounding the deck as she vaulted the railing into underbrush that clawed at her legs. Behind her, chaos erupted, grunts, thuds, Alera's voice cursing creatively as furniture shattered. Athena sprinted blind through the woods, branches whipping her face, roots snagging her like grasping hands. The river's rush grew louder, a silver ribbon under moonlight, and she veered toward it, lungs burning, the USB drives weighed a talisman against panic. "Think, Athena, think." Eleanor's voice echoed in her head from those summer games of hide-and-seek where losing meant no ice cream. She splashed into the shallows, icy water shocking her system, and waded upstream, using the current's gurgle to mask her splashes. Gunfire echoed faintly now, then silence, too final, twisting her gut. Had Alera?
No.
She couldn't. Athena hunkered behind a boulder, shivering in the damp chill, her arm throbbing where blood trickled warm. Minutes stretched eternal, her mind replaying the attic kiss, the cabin's firelit tangle, Alera's laugh, low and rare, as they'd whispered dreams post-climax. "You're my North Star," Alera had said, tracing constellations on Athena's skin. Losing that now? Unbearable. A twig snapped upstream. Athena froze, breath held, but it was Alera, emerging from the shadows like a specter, jacket torn, a gash above her eye weeping crimson. She dropped to her knees beside Athena, pulling her into a fierce hug that smeared blood between them. Got 'em. Zip-tied the bastards to the porch rail, called it in anonymous. Sheriff's en route. Her voice cracked, hands roaming Athena's body, frantic. "You're hit. Christ, let me see." "It's nothing," Athena lied, wincing as Alera peeled back the sleeve. A shallow furrow. Ugly, but not deep. Alera ripped her shirt hem for a bandage, tying it tight with practiced hands, hands that trembled now, betraying the fear. "Harlan," Alera growled, securing the knot. "He must have tailed us from the mill. Hired muscle, ex-cops. from the look of their gear. Athena cupped Alara's face, thumb smudging the blood on her brow. "You saved me. Again." The words hung heavy, laced with the unsaid, "I love you." Too soon, too raw for the wreckage around them. Alara leaned into the touch, eyes fierce. "Partners, remember? Now move. Sheriff will have questions we can't answer yet." They forded the river, water to their waists, emerging on the far bank sodden and spent. Alara's truck was stashed a half-mile hike, keys under the mat, a precaution born of her shadowed past. As they drove into the night, Willow Creek's lights twinkling like distant warnings, Athena patched the story in her head. Break-in at the PI's cabin, self-defense, intruders apprehended. The drive would hold. Rita's evidence sealed it. By dawn, they were holed up in a no-tell-motel on the outskirts of Springfield, the kind with neon signs flickering, vacancy, and walls thin enough to hear the neighbors' regrets. Athena showered first, scalding water washing away blood and brambles, but not the ache in her chest. Wrapped in a threadbare towel, she emerged to find Alara on the phone, voice low and urgent, coordinating with contacts, no doubt, her network of investigators and advocates woven from years chasing ghosts for the lost. "Harlan's in custody," Alara reported, hanging up as Athena approached. Rita turned over the ledger. "Sheriff's digging now. Assault, embezzlement. It'll stick." She pulled Athena onto the sagging bed, enveloping her in clean sheets that smelled of bleach and possibility.
"Sleep. I'll watch."
But sleep evaded Athena, her mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. She traced the scar on Alara's arm, the one from her sister's case she'd confessed in the cabin's afterglow. "Tell me about her," Athena whispered, head on Alara's chest, the steady thump of heart a lullaby. Alara sighed, fingers combing Athena's damp hair. "Mara. 25 when she died. Overdose, they said, but I found the bruises, the threats from her ex's family. She was trans, out and proud in a town that hated loud. Hired me to expose them, but they got to her first." Her voice thickened. "I failed her. Swore I'd never again." Athena lifted her head, meeting eyes brimming with old pain. "You didn't fail. You're here, fighting for me. That's redemption." She kissed Alara then, soft and searching, a balm for wounds unseen. It deepened naturally, towels slipping away, bodies rediscovering in the motel's harsh light, Alara's mouth hot on Athena's collarbone, hands gentle where violence had grazed. They moved slow, savoring, Athena straddling Alara's hips, grinding in rhythms that built like a gathering storm. Whispers wove between gasps. "I need you. Right here." Climax cresting quiet, intimate, sealing promises in sweat and sighs. Morning brought coffee from a vending machine and a plan. Alara's contacts had leaked the story to the Boston Globe, front-page fodder. Hawthorne Heir uncovered, Scandal rocks Willow Creek dynasty. Athena scanned the digital edition on Alara's laptop, photos of the manor splashed beside Harlan's mugshot, quotes from Rita painting Lila as the unsung hero. Vivian's secret love child claims legacy. The headline blared, and Athena winced at the sensationalism, but the truth cut through. DNA tests pending, but letters irrefutable. Her phone buzzed. Cousin Lydia, voice quavering. "Athena? Is it true? About Aunt Viv. And you?" The floodgates opened, calls from estranged relatives, reporters sniffing for quotes, even the youth center in Boston praising her bravery in coming out via proxy. Alara fielded most, her presence a shield, but Athena stepped up for the center's director. "It's not about bravery," she said, voice steady for the first time. "It's about claiming what's mine, love, legacy, all of it." Hanging up, she turned to Alara, resolve hardening. Back to Willow Creek. Face the town. The drive south was tense, radio humming low with news updates. Harlan arraigned, bail denied. They arrived at midday, the manor gates flung wide, locals milling like bees to honey. Rita waved them in, a cluster of mill workers flanking her, Faces weathered, eyes kind. "Town hall at 3, she said, clapping Athena's shoulder. "Your stage, kid." The hall buzzed electric, wooden benches packed, air thick with murmurs and the scent of fresh coffee from the refreshment table. Athena took the podium, Alara at her side in the wings, a silent sentinel. Flashbulbs popped as she began, voice amplified but raw. "My name is Athena Hawthorne. For 28 years, I've been half a story. Eleanor's granddaughter, Vivian's orphan. But today I claim the whole, daughter of 2 women who loved beyond fear, who built this town brick by loving brick." Gasps rippled, but nods too, from older faces who remembered Lila's shelter, the mill's heyday. She unveiled the letters, projected on a screen, Vivian's words a beacon. "Love isn't hidden, it's the light that guides." Harlan's crimes followed, spreadsheets damning, the crowd's outrage swelling like a tide. As applause thundered, Athena stepped down, Alara pulling her into the alcove for a stolen kiss, brief but fierce, sealing victory. "You were magnificent," Alara breathed. But outside, shadows lingered. A figure in the crowd, Harlan's lawyer, slipping away with a phone to his ear. The war wasn't won, just the first battle. The afterglow of the town hall faded like smoke as Athena and Alara navigated the throng outside, hands brushing in coded reassurance amid backslaps and tearful hugs from strangers who suddenly felt like kin. Willow Creek's main street, usually somnolent under its canopy of maples, pulsed with energy, reporters thrusting mics, locals toasting with styrofoam cups of diner brew. "To Lila," someone shouted, and the cheer rose, a balm to the scars Athena hadn't known she carried. But beneath it, unease gnawed. The lawyer's oily smile, Harlan's arraignment photos showing defiance unbroken. They retreated to the manor, the drive a blur of crimson leaves swirling in their wake. Inside, the house felt alive, workers from the mill hauling in crates of Eleanor's archived files, Rita directing like a general reclaiming territory. Athena wandered the halls, fingers trailing wallpaper peeling at the edges, pausing at the parlor where it all began. The fire was unlit now, but the decanter gleamed, a silent witness. Alara found her there, arms wrapping from behind, chin resting on Athena's shoulder. "Penny 4M?" Athena leaned back, savoring the solid warmth.
Pride.
And terror. What if they appeal? Drag Lila's name through mud again? Her voice wavered, the day's high crashing into doubt. Alara turned her gently, eyes locking with that unyielding depth. "Then we fight dirtier. I've got a team, cyber forensics, pulling Harlan's digital trails. Offshore wires, encrypted emails. He's cornered." Her lips brushed Athena's forehead, a promise. "But tonight, no war. Dinner. My ma's recipe. Gumbo that could melt steel." The kitchen transformed under Alara's hands, pots simmering on the ancient gas stove, jazz crooning from a battered radio, Billie Holiday's velvet ache mirroring the tenderness unfolding. Athena chopped okra, clumsy but willing, laughter bubbling as Flex stuck to her nose. Alara wiped them away with a kiss, deepening until the knife clattered forgotten, bodies pressing against the counter in a dance of flour-dusted want. "Later," Alara teased, nipping Athena's earlobe, "or we'll burn the place down." Dinner sprawled across the harvest table, steaming bowls of gumbo rich with shrimp and andouille, cornbread crumbling warm, stories flowing freer than the wine. Alara spoke of her Atlanta roots, humid nights and church choirs that hid queer longings. Athena shared Boston's grit, gallery openings where her paintings, abstract storms of color, whispered the loves she'd chased but never caught. Vulnerability bridged them, plates emptying as barriers fell. Post-meal, they migrated to the widow's walk atop the manor, a widow's perch with panoramic views of the valley aglow in twilight. Blankets pilfered from the linen closet cushioned the planks, stars pricking the indigo dome as they lay entwined, Alara's head pillowed on Athena's breast. "Ever think about the future?" Athena murmured, fingers weaving through Alara's cropped hair. All the time. Alara propped up, gaze distant. After Mara I ran, cases coast to coast, no roots.
But you.
This. She gestured to the manor, the town lights twinkling like fireflies. Feels like home. Athena's heart swelled, words tumbling free. Stay. With me. Unravel this mess, then build something real. The kiss that followed was seal and spark, slow burning into urgency, hands exploring under blankets, breaths mingling with the night's chill. Alara's fingers traced Athena's curves, eliciting shivers that had little to do with cold. Athena reciprocated, mouth mapping collarbones, thighs parting in invitation. They crested together under the cosmos, cries muffled in shoulders, aftershocks rippling like echoes of thunder. Sleep claimed them there, tangled and sated, until a phone's trill shattered the peace. Rita, voice edged with alarm. Harlan posted bail. Bond from some Cayman shell. He's vanished, but words he's rallying old cronies. Watch your backs. Dawn broke gray, coffee bitter as they plodded in the kitchen. Alara's laptop hummed with feeds, traffic cams, bank pings, Harlan's trail leading north to Vermont, a bolt-hole cabin owned by a mill supplier. Amateur. Alara scoffed, but tension lined her jaw. Athena insisted on coming. This is my fight. And they hit the road by 8, the Subaru eating miles under overcast skies. The cabin squatted in the Green Mountains shadow, a log pile amid birches shedding gold. No cars visible, but smoke wisped from the chimney. Occupied. They parked a quarter-mile out, approaching on foot through ferns ankle-deep, Alara's pistol holstered but ready, Athena clutching a tire iron from the trunk, pulse sinking with the rustle of leaves. Voices filtered from an cracked window, Harlan's, slurred with scotch. The girl's a freak, like her dykes. We torch the evidence, pin it on Voss. Then the manor's mine. Laughter from 2 others, rough and complicit. Alara signaled halt, creeping to peer through the glass. Harlan at a table strewn with maps and a jerry can of gasoline, flanked by his goons. The same masked faces from the cabin break-in, unmasked now, nursing beers. Athena's blood boiled, the tire iron heavy in her grip. Now, Alara whispered, and they moved, Alara kicking the door in with a splintering crash, gun raised. Hands up, Hawthorne. Party's over. Harlan lurched up, face purpling, fumbling for a shotgun on the wall. You. But Athena was faster, tire iron swinging low to crack his knee, bone crunching like dry twigs. He howled, collapsing, as the goons lunged. Alara disarmed one with a precise shot to the shoulder, the other tackling her in a grapple that sent them crashing into the hearth. Athena dove in, iron glancing off the attacker's skull, dropping him cold. Panting, they zip-tied the trio, Harlan whimpering on the floorboards.
Please.
Family, he gasped, eyes pleading. Athena knelt, voice ice. Family? You erase mine. Rot. She snatched his phone, dialing the state police with coordinates, then smashed the jerry can against the wall, gasoline glugging out, reeking sharp. Alara dragged her out as sirens wailed distant, the cabin igniting in their rearview, a pyre for lies. You okay? Alara asked, hand on Athena's thigh as they sped away. Athena exhaled, the fire's glow fading. Freer. But it's not enough. Back in Willow Creek by nightfall, the mill awaited, workers gathered under floodlights, torches flickering like a vigil. Rita handed Athena a megaphone. Burn the old ledgers. Start clean. Flames devoured the falsified books, cheers rising as ashes spiraled skyward, a phoenix right for the Hawthorne reborn. Alara watched from Athena's side, arm around her waist. What's next, Heir? Athena smiled, real and radiant.
Us.
The manor. A life. But in the shadows, a final envelope waited, Lila's last letter, unearthed from the safe. My girl, Love finds its way. Be brave. Tears fell, but Athena stood taller, Alera's hand in hers a vow. Weeks blurred into a tentative normalcy, the manor's halls echoing with hammers and hope as contractors shored up sagging beams, sunlight streaming through panes scrubbed clean of decades' grime. Athena threw herself into the mill's revival, consulting with Rita on green upgrades, solar panels glinting like promises on the roof, while workers who toiled under Harlan's thumb now walked taller, bonuses in hand from the reclaimed trusts. Boston's art scene buzzed with her story, galleries clamoring for shows titled Heirloom Hearts, canvases exploding in blues and golds that captured the crash of waves her mothers once chased. Alera stayed, her cabin traded for the guest suite overlooking the garden, lavender blooming defiant under autumn's first frost. Mornings began tangled in sheets, coffee brewing as they lingered over newspapers touting Harlan's trial, embezzlement charges stacking like dominoes, his Cayman accounts frozen, witnesses queuing from Lila's old network. "He's done," Alera murmured one crisp dawn, lips brushing Athena's shoulder as she read aloud from the Times. 20 years minimum. Athena arched into the touch, savoring the lazy heat. And us. Their nights had woven deeper. Explorations beyond urgency, toys from Alera's discreet Boston run adding layers of trust, laughter punctuating gasps as Athena learned the bow of Alera's body, the spots that made her shatter. Vulnerability bloomed, Alera confessing nightmares of Mara's ghost, Athena unveiling fears of inadequacy, heir to a love she'd never known. But cracks spidered in the idyll. Late October brought a subpoena, Harlan's defense, dredging Vivian's instability, to discredit the will. Athena's phone rang off the hook, tabloids twisting her coming out into spectacle, lesbian heiress or gold digger, splashed in lurid fonts. Cousin Lydia's texts turned venomous. "You're ruining us." Vivian would be ashamed. The sting landed deep during a rare solo walk through the estate's woods, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. Athena sank onto a fallen log, tears hot, the weight of legacy crushing. Was this freedom, or just another cage, public now, with spotlights on her heart? Alera found her there, tracking like a bloodhound, wrapping her in a wool coat that smelled of gumbo and home. "Talk," she commanded softly, settling beside, hand enveloping Athena's chilled one. "It hurts," Athena admitted, voice cracking. "I thought truth would heal, but it's exposed. Like they're judging Lila, Vivian me all over again." Alera pulled her close, breath warm against her temple. "They're scared of what you represent, love that endures, power that shifts. But you're not alone." Her kiss started consolation, evolved to comfort, lips parting, tongues dancing slow as they sank into moss, Alera's hands reverent on Athena's hips. It was making love in the wild, urgent yet tender, Athena's cries swallowed by wind as release washed doubt away, leaving clarity. Back at the manor, they rallied. Alera's team unearthed more dirt, Harlan's payoffs to tabloid stringers, emails plotting smears. Athena countered publicly, oppressor in the mill yard. "My mother's built this town with hands and hearts unbowed. Harlan stole that story. I reclaim it, for every hidden love." Clips went viral, supporters flooding in, queer activists from Boston, Willow Creek elders sharing their own buried tales. Trial day dawned bitter cold, November's bite frosting the courthouse steps in Northampton. Athena testified first, voice steady as she read Vivian's letters, the jury's eyes softening with each word. Harlan glowered from the dock, shackled and shrunken, his lawyer's objections drowned in evidence. Rita's ledgers, digital trails, even a recorded jail call where he ranted, "That dyke spawn won't take what's mine." Alera sat sentinel in the gallery, her presence a talisman, fingers twitching when Athena met her gaze mid-vow. "I stand for the women they tried to erase." Cross-examination probed gentle. "Miss Hawthorne, confirm the romantic nature of Vivian and Lila's bond?" Athena's yes, profound and true, ringing like a bell. Recess brought Alara's arms around her in the hallway shadows, a fierce hug. Proud doesn't cover it. Their kiss was chaste, but promise hummed. Plans for post-verdict escape, a weekend in Provincetown, waves and wine. Verdict came swift. Guilty on all counts, Harlan led away snarling curses that dissolved into sobs. Athena exhaled outside, sky clearing to blue, Alara's hand in hers as flashes popped. "It's over," she breathed. "Not quite." Alara grinned, pulling an envelope from her coat. Yellowed, postmarked Chicago, 1995. Lila's solicitor. Final bequest, a trust for you, and a letter. In the Manor's parlor that night, fire roaring, Athena unsealed it. "Dearest Athena, if this reaches you, know I never stopped loving. Your mother's fire burns in you. Live loud, my girl. Lila." Enclosed, a photo of 3 women, Vivian, Lila, infant Athena, beaming on that beach, waves applauding. Tears fell, but joy too, Alara drawing her close, their love a bridge across years. To living loud, Alara toasted with whiskey. Athena clinked glasses heartful.
To us.
Winter blanketed Willow Creek in peace, the mill humming with new life, apprenticeships for queer youth, Lila's name on the community wing. Athena's paintings sold out, strokes of resilience. Alara hung her shingle local, cases for the marginalized. Spring brought rings, simple gold bands exchanged on the widow's walk, vows whispered under stars. In shadows and light yours. Their wedding was small, mill folk and Boston friends toasting under lavender arches, Rita officiating with gruff grace. Years wove on, a daughter, fierce-eyed like Lila, adopted from the center, summers on that beach, stories told over campfires. Athena's book, Waves Unbroken, top charts, humanizing hidden loves. In quiet nights, Athena traced Alara's scars, whispering thanks. The air hidden no more, she'd found her throne, in love's unyielding embrace. The first anniversary of Harlan's conviction dawned soft, mist veiling the manor like a bridal train. Athena woke to Alara's kiss, light as dew. Happy wars end, love. Breakfast sprawled lazy, pancakes stacked high, blueberries bursting tart, laughter over syrup-sticky fingers as they planned the day's ritual. The town had claimed November 12th as Lila's Legacy Day, mill closing for a parade Athena led, but first, the beach. They drove coastal, windows down to salt wind's caress, their daughter Mira, for now, curls wild as Vivian's, chattering from her booster about Mommy's big boat, the Subaru eternally. Alara caught Athena's eye in the mirror, that shared glance as shorthand for everything, the terror of Myra's adoption hearing, the joy of her first "I love yous" to both. The beach stretched endless, dunes humped like sleeping giants, waves hissing secrets to the shore. Mira raced ahead, bucket swinging, while Athena and Alara spread a quilt, faded, from Lila's trunk, unpacking picnic of crab rolls and chilled rose. They read from the letters, voices blending. Vivian's whimsy, Lila's steel, Mira wide-eyed at the grandmas who loved like storms. As sun dipped, painting sea gold, Athena pulled Alara aside, behind a rock outcrop where privacy bloomed. "1 year free," she murmured, hands framing Alara's face, thumbs tracing laugh lines earned hard. The kiss ignited slow, salt-laced, evolving to hunger. Alara's back against weathered stone, Athena's thigh insistent between hers, friction building with gasps swallowed by surf. Climax whispered through them, intimate as breath, leaving foreheads pressed, breaths sinking. Myra's call yanked them back, shells. Giggling as they disentangled, clothes askew. Evening brought the parade, floats bedecked in rainbow banners, mill workers marching to brass band swing, Athena waving from a vintage convertible, Alara beside with Mira on lap. Fireworks burst over the river, echoes of that pyre, now celebration. Back home, Mira tucked in with tales of brave ladies. Athena and Elara retreated to the bath, clawfoot tub steaming, candles flickering. Soak turned sensual, Elara's hands soaping Athena's back, fingers lingering on scars faded, kisses trailing vertebrae. They made love there, water sloshing, bodies buoyant. Athena astride, rocking gentle, Elara's moans harmonizing with Myra's distant dreams. Winter deepened bonds, holidays at the manor, tables groaning with Rita's pies, estranged cousins trickling back, Lydia first, tearful apology over eggnog. I was wrong. Teach me. Athena forgave, slow, teaching Myra's aunt the art of mending. Elara's cases grew, defending a trans teen's custody, exposing a local bigot's graft, her fire-stoking Athena's, nights debating justice over wine, bodies debating passion after. Spring unfurled with Myra's school play, her as Little Lila, cape fluttering, Athena filming through tears, Elara whooping loudest. Post-show, gallery opening in Boston, Athena's Echoes series, portraits of Vivian and Lila imagined, sold to museums, proceeds to shelters. Summer wove adventures, Provincetown return, dune walks hand in hand, Mira building sandcastles of mommy towers. One night, under meteor shower, Elara proposed expansion, another little storm? Adoption papers filed by fall, a son joining, eyes like Elara's storms. Years layered like varnish, Myra's coming out at 16, proud and painted, Athena and Elara flanking at the Pride March, the Mill's centennial, Lila's plaque unveiled amid cheers. Harlan's appeals crumbled, his death in prison a footnote, Athena lighting a candle, not for hate, but release. In twilight years, gray threading hair, they rocked on the porch, Myra's kids clambering vines, stories circling eternal. Worth the fight? Elara asked once, hand in Athena's, rings worn smooth. Athena smiled, kissing knuckles. Every scar. For this. Legacy lived, not in stones or ledgers, but love's unbroken, airs unhidden, waves crashing eternal applause. Decades distilled to moments, the manor a beacon still. Renovated wings housing a women's center, Lila's name etched in glass doors welcoming the weary. Athena, silver-crowned at 60, mentored artists in the attic studio, canvases alive with gnarled hands and fierce eyes, echoes of mothers met in dreams. Elara, ever the sentinel, consulted from a home office cluttered with case files and grandkids' drawings, her limp from an old wound a badge, not burden. Mira thrived, architect now, designing queer-friendly communes, her wife a botanist, tending the manor's lavender revival. Their twins, 8 and wild, called Athena Nana Storm, Elara Nana Thunder, tumbling through halls with tales of the great uncovering. One autumn equinox, family gathered, Rita, frail but fiery at 90, regaling with mill yarns, Lydia, aunt redeemed, toasting with sherry. Feast spilled laughter, but post-dinner, Athena slipped away to the widow's walk, Elara following unbidden, blankets and bourbon in tow. Stars wheeled above, crisp air nipping. Remember the first night? Athena mused, leaning into Elara's side, heads bent close. Elara chuckled low. Firelight, whiskey, you unraveling like a gift. Her hand found Athena's, tracing veins mapped by time. Best case I ever took. Kiss came natural, seasoned, lips knowing paths, tongues reminiscing. It deepened on the blankets, clothes yielding to caresses, Elara's mouth reverent on Athena's breasts, hands worshipping hips broadened by life, Athena reciprocating, fingers deft in folds familiar as home, gasps yielding to sighs. Release bloomed gentle, waves lapping eternal, bodies entwined in afterglow's hush. Below, family voices rose in song. Old jazz, Billy again. Unaware, but harmonious. Our legacy, Elara whispered, tears glinting. Athena nodded, heartful. Love's light, unhidden. Final years gifted quiet graces. Travels to Chicago. Lila's shelter site now a museum. Plaques for Vivian and her. Myra's wedding on the beach. Waves applauding anew. Losses came. Rita's passing. Eulogy by Athena. She built bridges where walls stood. Alara went first, spring pneumonia stealing breath mid-laugh, her hand in Athena's to the end. See you on the waves. Athena mourned fierce, painting tempests of grief, but joy lingered. Myra's arms, grandkids' chaos, the manor's pulse. At 78, Athena followed, porch rocker still warm, dream pulling her to salt shores where 3 women waited, Vivian radiant, Lila firebright, Alara smirking welcome. Took you long enough, Alara teased, hand extended. Athena took it whole, worth every hidden step. The manor endures, Heir's tending flames, love story, told loud, forever.